Right, so one of the most important skills that you can learn to level up your life is camera confidence. Yes, camera confidence is something that I used to be really bad at. I was one of the most shy and unconfident people I knew. But it's a skill that I've gotten much better at over time, and it's genuinely changed the course of my life. And so in this video, we're going to talk about firstly, why camera confidence is a ridiculously useful skill to develop. And secondly, I'm going to share my top 5 tips for becoming more confident on camera. Let's go. So in today's world, being confident on camera is a skill that can bleed into every area of your life. When it comes to work life, for example, these days, it's easy, remote, hybrid work, all that stuff. It makes being on Zoom calls, being on Teams, whatever, camera confidence just really shines through when you're having a meeting, when you're giving a business presentation, when you're trying to do sales, when you're trying to negotiate deals, in almost any kind of work that you're gonna be in or that you're in already. Job interviews these days are being done mostly through Zoom. I know a bunch of people who've applied for jobs in the last year. All of the rounds basically have been done on Zoom, except the final one, which might be in person. And in some of those rounds, you're with other people. In some of those rounds, you have to give a presentation. In some of those rounds, you have to have a conversation with your interviewer. And the ability to speak confidently on camera, just as confidently as you would be in real life, or in fact, potentially even more confidently on camera as you would be in real life, really helps level you up when it comes to applying for jobs. Secondly, in the realm of content creation. Now, whether you're a YouTuber or a TikToker or an Instagrammer, a lot of these video platforms really benefit naturally from being charismatic on camera. Even if, to be honest, you're a faceless YouTube channel and you have a voice that can come across confidently on camera, it just makes whatever you make a little bit more engaging. And thirdly, the great thing about being confident on camera is that it can actually bleed into other areas of your life as well. Like back in the day, when I was in school, I used to be pretty shy and unconfident. And over time, I kind of honed my charisma and confidence. But it was really when I started talking on camera 5 years ago, when I started making YouTube videos, where that just took my entire confidence in life up an entire notch. Because all of a sudden, every single week, I was showing up to talk to an inanimate object, the camera, and I had to figure out ways of being energetic in those situations. And I've definitely found that over time, I'm now more confident if I'm doing a public speaking presentation, or if I'm giving a talk, or even if I'm in just a normal social setting where I don't necessarily know people and I'm not comfortable by default. The fact that I've got so much practice and I've put in the reps to talk to a camera has really helped level up my confidence in real life as well. Let's now talk about some ways that you can potentially improve your confidence on camera. So there's all sorts of ways that you can increase your camera confidence, and completely coincidentally, I have just released a brand new online course about this where I've compiled absolutely everything I've learned over the last 5 years of doing YouTube, doing business presentations, doing talks, doing sales, all that kind of stuff into an online course about how to level up your own camera confidence. We've got a bunch of different modules in the course. We've got a module on mindset, a module on technique, a module on drills where I take people in real life through various camera confidence drills and give them feedback. We've got a module on analysis and how you can analyze your own camera confidence to get better. We've got a module on case studies where I'm looking at famous celebrities and authors and speakers and other YouTubers and analyzing their style of camera charisma so you can get actionable tips from that. And we've got a bunch of guest speakers as well. We've got interviews from people around the world who are experts in the fields of like storytelling and public speaking. And all of these guys are giving you their expertise on how to speak on camera. And we have a full 30-day, no questions asked, money back guarantee. So if you don't like the course, you can just get your money back. Anyway, that'll be linked down below if you want to check it out. But now let's go into 5 top tips for how to be more confident on camera. Starting with tip number 1, which is to recognize that there's like different modes of thinking about the camera. And this is a bit of a mindset thing that I found really helpful. And that's like, there's 2 ways of thinking about the camera. Firstly, there is the coffee mode, and secondly, there is the presenter mode. So in coffee mode, what I'm imagining is that the camera is a friend of mine who I'm having coffee with. So this is the sort of vibe that I might talk to if I'm doing coffee mode. This is more appropriate for a Zoom presentation, or if it's a negotiation with someone, or it's like a sales thing. I'm not necessarily going to be over the top and presentery about it. I'm going to be speaking to them as if I'm having coffee with a friend. And so this is the mode that I go into when I speak to a camera, like right now. Or if, for example, I'm doing a YouTube video where I'm speaking from the heart about something that's somewhat difficult to talk about, or that's a little bit deep, then I'll go into coffee mode when I'm speaking to the camera. And then the second mode that I personally find useful is a bit more presenter mode. And that is, speaks to the idea that generally when you're speaking on a camera, you lose out on 2 points of charisma out of 10. So let's say, I don't know, you're talking at a 5 out of 10 in terms of like energy level. When you're speaking to a camera and it's coming across to the other person, that comes across as if it's a 3 out of 10 in charisma. And so if you want to speak on camera as if you're speaking naturally, often you do have to ramp things up slightly in real life. And so my presenter mode of speaking, the way I'm speaking to the camera right now, is a bit more like 6.5, 7 out of 10 in terms of my energy levels, but hopefully that comes across as fairly natural rather than like absurdly, energetic, like it probably does in real life right now, but hopefully on the camera it sounds reasonable. And so the mental model I have for this is I'm giving a kind of presentation to 3 or 4 medical students. That tends to be the model I have in my head, and you can figure out for you whatever model works for you. But I think thinking of the camera in these 2 different modes, coffee mode, like it's a little bit more chill, a little bit low energy, versus presenter mode, a little bit higher energy, especially if you're doing a presentation. Maybe if you're doing an interview, that might be more appropriate. Tip number 2 for speaking on camera is to embrace imperfection. One mistake that I see with a lot of people, a lot of students from my part-time YouTuber Academy, you can sign up to the waiting list down below, but one mistake I see a lot of newbies to cameras is that they think they have to put on some kind of personality. Like, you know, I am speaking like a BBC presenter from the 1950s, and I'm going to talk about cameras, confidence in this way. And it just becomes a thing that sounds very fake, especially now we're all so used to seeing other people on camera. It's a bit weird. You can kind of tell when someone is not really being themselves. And so tip number 2 is to really embrace the imperfection and to channel your own personality. Don't try and necessarily put on a personality of someone else, although in the course we do talk about strategies like imitating other people's styles and using that to figure out your own. But broadly, if you can allow your own authentic self to shine through. So maybe when you're giving a presentation, you're using jokes and terminology and phrases that you would use in real life. You don't have to be all stuffy about it. You don't have to kind of over professionalize yourself in an attempt to sound more engaging, because generally leaning more towards the casual end of the spectrum, so generally how we talk in real life, generally that comes across in a lot more of an engaging way to an audience, rather than if you dial up the professionalism because you've got to be professional in a work presentation. Tip number 3 for being more confident on camera is to speak through a smile. Now, this is a great strategy. Basically, you can be saying anything, but if you say it with a smile on your face, it just sounds as if you're more confident and more engaged with the thing. So if I didn't have the smile on my face, I could be talking like this. I could be kind of varying my intonation. I could be talking, hopefully, quite charismatically and quite confidently. But now if I say exactly the same thing with a smile on my face, now it's just like I'm enthused with more energy and I just feel a lot more engaged and I feel a lot more confident, and hopefully that comes across. And all I've done is just plastered a bit of a smile on my face. It feels really fake initially. It feels like absolutely bizarre. If you're not used to kind of speaking through a smile, the muscles around the cheeks start to hurt, all that kind of stuff. But it really genuinely does come across as way more engaging and way more confident, and it also bleeds into your own energy levels as well. Tip number 4 for being more confident on camera is body language. Now, if you like, it's really interesting to analyze kind of YouTubers who've been on the platform for absolutely ages. 2 really good examples of this are Marquez Brownlee and Mr. Who's the Boss, both huge tech YouTubers. And they've been on YouTube for I think like 10 years at this point. So you can see what their camera confidence was like at the beginning and what it's like now. And they're both radically different camera presences from 10 years ago versus now. But you'll see that one of the major changes, one of the major evolutions of most people becoming more confident on camera is that they start to use their hands and their body a little bit more. This is not to say you have to do this sort of weird kind of stuff, but generally I find that kind of moving my hands around this general zone makes me come across as a lot more confident than if, for example, my hands were static. Because with my hands static, whatever I'm kind of doing, especially if I'm like fidgeting and stuff, it just comes across as a little bit weird. If my hands are here, there's a limitation to the amount of energy that I can exude and the level of comfort that I feel. Like, see, even then, like, and the level of comfort I feel when I'm speaking on camera. But if I allow myself to relax a little bit, if I kind of relax my shoulders, if I use a little bit more body language, especially, elbows down here, and then gesturing in this kind of zone, hopefully this comes across as a little bit more confident, a little bit more natural, and a little bit more engaging than it would be if I wasn't using my hands at all. Tip number 5 is to warm up. Now, something that I do before every filming session is that I generally put on some music on Spotify on my Amazon Echo behind me, and I will generally sing along to the song. 'Cause your time's coming around, don't stop crying. Don't stop, never give up. And I'm doing that while I'm setting up the camera, while I'm setting up Zoom. Like if it's a particularly high stakes thing, like a Zoom presentation, or if I'm filming a video, I'll just get myself into more of a high level energy zone. And for me personally, I do that by singing along. You can see there's Tony Robbins videos on YouTube where he has a whole full body warm up where he like jumps around and does a little hop, does a little spin. And all of these things are just different strategies to get us into the higher energy zone that we want to be in, mostly if we're trying to be a little bit more confident on camera. Now, ultimately with all these tips, it all fundamentally comes down to practice. The more you get in your reps, the more you practice being confident on camera and speaking on camera, the more confident you're gonna be. And the mistake that a lot of people make is that they see themselves, they speak to a camera for the first time because they're filming a YouTube video or they're doing a presentation, they're not very good at it, and they compare themselves to someone who's been doing it for years and think, oh, I just don't have it. I wasn't born with the ability to speak on camera. No one comes out of the womb with the ability to speak on camera. It's a skill that develops over time, and it's a skill that you can absolutely develop over time as well, provided you put in the practice. And one bonus tip, one super easy way to practice is to actually just get used to the habit of sending video messages to your friends. You know, instead of sending a WhatsApp voice note or a WhatsApp kind of text message, you can just turn on the camera feature, send a video to a friend, say hi, say hello, say how you doing, give them a little life update. And that's a very easy way of getting in the reps so that next time you're speaking to the Zoom camera, the webcam, or a camera when filming a video for anything at all, you've had more practice with that than you would have done otherwise. Anyway, if you're still watching at this point, you might like to check out the course. Like I said, we talk about mindset and technique and case studies and drills and analysis and sort of looking at other YouTubers and celebrities and seeing how they talk on camera, getting guest workshops from other speakers who are experts in storytelling and public speaking and their tips for camera confidence. And we've got a full no questions asked money back guarantee. So you can watch the entire course. If you decide you don't like it, all you have to do is email us and we'll literally give you your money back. If you want to check that out, that'll be linked right over here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll hopefully see you in the next video. Bye-bye.